Alright, we're going to start off kind of modest with the photography here at Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park. Just a mallard hen swimming around in this pool. But as Casey and I get started riding Expedition Everest, I'll say thank you for joining us for this episode 3 in our October 2020 Disney trip, where I did all of the photography with the Nikon Z50. And every photo in this huge video is with the Nikon Z50 and the 50 to 250 kit lens. Inexpensive gear making pretty doggone good photographs. Now, if you're not into the roller coasters, that's no problem. Just fast forward to about 3 minutes or so into the video and it'll be back to photography. But for now, let's ride Expedition Everest. Alright, welcome to Animal Kingdom. We are having lunch now. We've been really on the go since we got here. We started out, Casey and I rode Expedition Everest, and then we went over and we rode the safari ride, and then we did the jungle, what's it called?
Gorilla Falls.
Then we hiked the Gorilla Falls Trail, which had lots of great birds. I've been wearing it out with the Z50 and the 50 to 250. That's the only lens I've used so far. We came down here to Pandora and rode Flight of Passage, and now we're having lunch at Satu'li Canteen, where the beer is green. And we're having these things called burger pods, really strange looking little things. And we're also having this completely awesome dessert. We love this. This is our favorite dessert in all of Disney World. But let me tell you something about the Z50 battery. I've made over 950 pictures this morning, and it still shows full. It's not even gone down one tick, so that is pretty cool. We're going to have our lunch, and maybe I'll show you some pictures now. Alright, so we'll start off with photographs from our first ride on the safari, and I really like the way this turned out. All these hippos in the water, and you can see some reflections as well. Next up here is an African painted dog, and it's an interesting thing. This same area of the safari, if you ride it later in the day, it has hyenas, but early in the morning it has African painted dogs. Love this giraffe photograph. They're always backlit in the morning, and a lot of times they're eating out of buckets that are mounted in trees. This time it's actually eating the tree like it's supposed to. Here's a mandrill, beautiful eyes, and you can see the blue on its face. Very cool. I like these quite a bit. It's hard to see them while you're on the ride, but I did get a semi-decent picture. Here's a rhinoceros, a couple of photographs of a rhinoceros. I've got kind of a landscape shot and a more close-up shot here to take a look at. And our next photograph is of the lioness's beautiful, beautiful backlit golden light on this one. I really like the way this shot turned out. Now the male lion, I didn't get that good of a photograph of him. There's some foliage blocking him, but we ride this later in the day and I get some amazing photographs of this male lion. And next up we have a warthog. Look at this creature. A lot of personality in the warthog here at the safari ride at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Okay, so now we're at the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, and this is a walking trail where you set your own pace. You're not on a truck like you are on the safari ride, so it's a lot easier to get photographs. As a matter of fact, this man-made waterfall, I made a handheld slick waterfall photograph of it here. I do these pictures by setting the shutter speed around 1/6 or 1/8 or 1/5, putting the camera in its fastest drive mode and shrinking down the aperture until the exposure's right, and then I'll hold it as steady as I can and fire off 10 or 11 pictures as fast as possible, and usually one of them will come out good. Alright, this is a Taveta Golden Weaver, and these things are absolutely beautiful. There's quite a few of them in the bird area on the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail, and I absolutely love making photographs of them. And I think the Z50 and the 50 to 250 did a really nice job, even in the low light, getting photographs of these little guys. One of the larger birds in this area is this beautiful hammerkop, and they're a really good looking bird. They're kind of a wading bird. They almost look like a really small pterodactyl, and there's a pair of them in this area, and they're building a really huge nest, which I failed to get a photograph of, but right now they're not working on nesting. Right now they're hunting for food. And while you think about that for a minute, here is another one of these golden weavers, so beautiful with the bright yellow colors, and there's some chestnut orangey browns in there as well. Really, really beautiful, and I loved photographing them. Now, I used to have a huge aquarium in my house, and in it I kept African cichlids, and here are just so many African cichlids. And guess what the hammerkop eats? Well, they eat African cichlids, and you can see this one has caught one, and it's just about to swallow it whole, just like a heron would. This adorable little waterfowl is an African pygmy goose, and it is just beautiful. I wish they had more of them there, but this was the only one I saw. And uh-oh, another one bites the dust. It looks like the hammerkop are eating well this morning. Now this next bird is a threatened species, and this is a marbled duck, and in some other areas they call them marbled teal, but I thought they were just absolutely beautiful, and they seem to enjoy looking at me as much as I enjoyed photographing them. Just absolutely beautiful, and you can see they're swimming around in the pool with all of the African cichlids below. Really nice to see and photograph these. The last bird that I made a photograph of before I left the bird area is this great blue turaco. What an amazing looking bird this one is. And then as we walked on, we came around to another gorilla observation area, and we got to see a baby gorilla. Now this was through really thick glass, so there's some reflections, but that's the best photo I could get. And then here's another adult gorilla, and I was thrilled to get this photograph as well. It's, you know, we don't always walk the Gorilla Falls Trail, but we really should. It's great. Now we will ride Cali River Rapids. This is one way to store your camera bag on a water ride. Oh boy, backwards is bad.
Oh no.
Backwards is bad.
Yeah,
Backwards is bad. Oh boy. Well, did you get wet?
Yeah, that was nice.
I didn't get wet. As we walked around the park, I made photographs of all sorts of things, including this brown anole, which is not part of the exhibits of Disney's Animal Kingdom theme park, but it was there and I photographed it. Here's a beautiful water lily that I made a shot of, looking down into the water that goes around Discovery Island, which is a part of the Animal Kingdom theme park. Here's a river otter that you can view without waiting in any lines. It's just on the side of the walkway as you're walking along. You can make a right and enter its exhibit, and it's really, really beautiful. You know I can't resist making a photograph of a yellow flower, so here it is. I'm not sure what sort of flower it is, but it was really beautiful. Here's a rosy-billed pochard or pochard that has its own exhibit. I thought it was absolutely beautiful, and I was happy to make this shot of it with great light. Now, there's all sorts of exhibits of various birds and things around the park, and none of them are supposed to have white ibis in them, but almost all of them have white ibis in them, and I think the white ibis is absolutely beautiful. It's funny, one of the viewers, Cuban Rum, gets these in his yard. He lives in Miami. I'm always just amazed and thrilled to see them, so whenever I do, I usually stop and try to take a moment and make a photograph. Now, this was at Discovery Island, but I walked all the way down to the front of the park at this time to try to make some photographs of the roseate spoonbills that they have there. But it was midday, and they like to hide during midday, so I could just peek through some foliage and get some photographs of their eyes, but never a full bird shot. But later in the video and later in this same day, I did get some full bird shots. My best shot at the Spoonbill area was of a white ibis. I love this reflecting picture of the ibis hanging around in the habitat that's designed for roseate spoonbill. Well, I have been wandering all over this park in all the little nooks and crannies, taking pictures of mostly ibis, and they're not part of the show here. We've changed Casey's nickname to Ibis. Heather is Ducky. Anyway, but a lot of birds and things that are part of the show here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, and a lot of ibis that are not. And now we're at the bird show, and we're a little bit later in the day than we normally see the bird show, so some of the background is in shade. I'm pretty excited about that because a lot of times the light for this bird show is terrible. So, bird show. Okay, well, here is some shots from the bird show. This actually happened before the show started. She came out and brought this owl out. I'm not sure what type it is, and she showed it to us before the show started. Now, one of the stars of the show is this trumpeter hornbill, and this bird is amazing. They'll throw grapes up in the air, and it'll fly by and catch them mid-air. Really an amazing bird and well-trained. It's been one of the main parts of the show for quite some time, and I hope it stays with them for quite a while. Now, the next shot is a cell phone video that Heather made slow motion of an African crowned crane as it's flying from that perch there on the left of the frame right by my big head and onto the stage. It's really, really cool that she was able to capture this with her iPhone. It did come out of the frame for just a second, but she was able to gather it right back up. Pretty good sized bird flying right over your head at the bird show. Here is a great horned owl at the bird show, and look at the ISO in this, 14,400. They keep that bird in an area that's pretty dark. You want to hear a parrot sing?
Can we straighten up? Straighten up. All right. Look, Mom. Look, Mom.
Our singing parrot friend is a yellow-naped Amazon, and this bird is an American bald eagle named Hope, who is always brought out near the end of the show, and they let you get a good look at a bald eagle up close. It's a shame that she has to stay there, but for whatever reason she has to stay at the show, and it is nice to be able to see one up close. And the last photo I have from the bird show is of this toucan, and it's eating a grape as well. I really recommend, if you do go to the Animal Kingdom theme park, you definitely take time to see this show. Alright, let's try out the Z50 and the 50 to 250 on my favorite walking trail in Disney's Animal Kingdom park. the Maharajah Jungle Trek. Okay, so as soon as you start walking on the Maharajah Jungle Trek, the first animal you see every time is this Komodo dragon. And I got this first shot and I was happy with it, but I moved to a slightly different spot and I really, really loved the composition of this shot. I thought this one turned out really good and I was happy with the edit I was able to put on it. And this shot's interesting to me. I'm looking at one viewing area of the Komodo dragon and all these people are at the other one. And of all those people, only one is actually looking at the exhibit. My favorite part of this walking trail is the bird area, just like my favorite part of the previous walking trail is the bird area. And this is a common emerald dove. This amazing looking bird is a Victoria crowned pigeon. Look at the blue and the beautiful feathers and the red eyes. What an amazing bird. Okay, this next bird is, I believe, a chestnut-backed thrush, although it could be a red-backed thrush. I'm not really sure. They're both very, very similar looking. And this one that I got a couple of photographs of seems to be molting a little bit. It's lost some of the feathers on its head, which reminds me quite a bit of what cardinals do sometimes back home in Tennessee. I believe this unusual looking bird is a masked lapwing. Really neat looking bird. Of course, I'm a sucker for a bird with yellow eyes, so I like it. Okay, this next bird that I got a crazy up close shot of is, I believe, a white-eared cibia. And I made this shot because the bottom of the bird was blocked and then it flew over into a different area, and later I was able to find it again and finally get a full body shot of this beautiful bird. So nice to be able to shoot these unusual birds. And speaking of unusual birds, how about this critically endangered blue-crowned laughing thrush? Wow, 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 this bird is beautiful. Look at the yellows and blues and red eyes, and it's got a mask. It's just really amazing, and I was thrilled to be able to make a photograph of this bird ever so briefly. Here's another one. I believe this one's called a hooded pitta. Really beautiful. I only got this one shot of it and I was thrilled to be able to get it. The enclosure is really large, so the birds have a lot of space to go where they want to. Here's another one. I think this one is called the red-billed Leiothrix. Really beautiful, very small compared to a lot of the other birds in this enclosure. And on the other end of the size spectrum is this great Argus, which is a pheasant. And you know, there's plenty of areas for it to hide as well, but sometimes it'll walk right out onto the walking path. Okay, so Animal Kingdom closes tonight at 6. It is currently
5:07.
5:07. Casey and I just got done riding. There is Casey. Whoa, the table's wobbly. Casey and I just got done riding Expedition Everest, and now we're at a place in Africa in the Animal Kingdom Park called Tamu, where I'm having a Safari Amber. This beer costs $10, but it does taste pretty good.
This Diet Coke costs $3.
The two of them together cost $14.90, all kidding aside. That was the charge for that beer and this Diet Coke. Wait a minute. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, but we're going to go ride the Safari. We rode the Safari early this morning, pretty much within 10 minutes of it opening, and now we're going to ride it probably within 30 minutes of it closing. So it'll be interesting to see the different photographic opportunities on the Safari early in the morning and late in the afternoon. I didn't see as many animals in this afternoon passing of the Safari ride as I did in the morning, but like I said earlier in the video, the hyena is in the painted wolf area in the afternoon. Here's an elephant that I was able to get a pretty decent shot of this time. A lot of times the elephants are hiding, but this time I got a full body shot. And this is kind of the way you'll normally see the cheetah, a long way away in the shadows laying on the ground. I think when we came in July I got a much better shot of the cheetahs. But the second ride was worth it just because of this one sequence. As we came by the male lion, I happened to be shooting at about 10 frames a second, and the lion yawned. And I thought it was really awesome to snap these 5 photos of the giant lion with its amazing teeth as it was yawning. It kind of looks just like our little kitty cat that we got around the house, but much, much, much bigger. Look at those teeth. What a thrill to be able to make this set of photographs. And the lion was kind of bored during the whole thing. Here is a scimitar horned oryx. I like this photograph. I thought it had a nice twinkle in its eye that a lot of times these grazing animals you don't see. All right, well, last time we came here and I used a camera system, I used my Fuji X-T3, and for all the stuff here at Animal Kingdom, I used their 55 to 200 lens. Now that lens is a 3.5 to 4.8, and that's kind of a big advantage over this wonderful little lens, the 50 to 250, because this lens is a 4.5 to 6.3. As a matter of fact, let's see how, I'm at 4.8 at about 75 millimeters, and then at 200 I'm at f6, and at 250 I do have 50 extra millimeters to play with, but at 250 I'm at f6.3, so it's a lot slower, and that makes things more difficult, especially in places like the Maharajah Jungle Trek where the light is low. The first safari of the morning the light was low, so I was really having to kind of have a battle with shutter speed and ISO to try to keep everything in check. But other than that, and a little bit of in extremely low light situations, I had a little bit of trouble locking focus. I mean, it would lock focus, but a lot of times when I'm doing wildlife, because wildlife's constantly moving, I'll keep my hand on the back button focus, and it would just go off into la la land in extremely low light. But other than that, I've been pretty happy with how the Z50's been doing. I haven't had a chance to really look at the photos yet, and maybe you have already because we're a pretty good ways through this video, but as far as actually the way it feels, it's super tiny, it's super small. I filled up an entire 64 gig memory card, and let's see, how many photos do I have on this memory card? I've got 123 on the second memory card after filling up a 64 gig. I'm on my second battery, although I didn't run the first battery completely out, and it is 2/3 full. So battery life is much superior on the Z50 when compared to the X-T3. I think the X-T4 is supposed to have better batteries, but the X-T3's batteries are terrible. It's a good thing when I bought mine used from our good buddy Mike, he threw in 6 batteries. So as we were heading out of the park, we stopped by once again at the Rosé at Spoonbill area, and this time I was able to get a couple of really nice Rosé at Spoonbill full body shots. Even though there was not a whole lot of light, I was still really happy to be able to get these shots. And then the next photograph is of kind of the entire Rosé at Spoonbill area, and there's also the 2 birds on the left are African spoonbills, and then there's 1 Rosé at Spoonbill in this shot, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ibis that are kind of invading the spoonbill area, and that's another handheld waterfall picture. We are here at the bus stop waiting for the Disney bus to take us back to the Contemporary Resort and Bay Lake Tower. As you have seen just now, Heather's idea to ride the safari again at almost closing time was a good one, and we appreciate you watching this episode of our October 2020 trip to Walt Disney World Resort, and we look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's episode. It's not raining.
I'm disappointed. Look. We do dumb things at the end of the
It is not raining. The brakes are good.
They work.
Okay, say bye.
Bye.